This scandal comes as no surprise. Speculation about the children has been simmering for years. Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
It sounds fake.
Meghan Markle thought the storm over her pregnancy stories had finally died down, but thanks to Candace Owens, it's back, louder, sharper, and far more humiliating than before.
It's just so disgusting.
Owens' brutal takedown of Harry's version of Archie's birth and spare didn't just spark debate, it triggered a wave of public ridicule. Across comment sections, social media threads, and even mainstream platforms, people aren't just questioning Meghan's story, they're laughing at it. And that sting of humiliation is what makes this fallout so much worse.
It was a dreadful thing to do and actually completely wrong.
Does it make you sound like a better mom? It makes you sound like really kind of into yourself in a way.
And there's so much to unpack here. From Harry's infamous 2 epidurals claim that's being mocked by doctors and mothers alike, to DNA demands flooding comment sections, to whispers from Portland hospital staff that undercut the official story, every layer adds fuel to a fire Meghan can't seem to put out. This isn't just a scandal anymore, it's a credibility crisis. And if insiders are right, the palace's silence is only making Meghan's humiliation grow by the day.
I was instantly enraged from this 10-second clip. It just annoyed me. He describes her very well, and he does this by taking a look.
Candace Owens has built her reputation on sharp, unfiltered commentary. And when she turned her focus on Meghan Markle, the result was explosive.
Absolute media manipulation. But I thought tonight this was really ridiculous.
Owens dissected Harry's description of Archie's birth and spare, pointing out contradictions that others had tiptoed around. But it wasn't just the critique itself that stung. It was the way she framed it. Owens didn't have to dig through hidden documents or secret interviews. She simply repeated Harry's own words and asked, "Does this even sound real?" That simplicity cut deeper than any wild theory ever could. By holding the Sussexes up to their own story, Owens made the narrative look less like royal truth and more like a Hollywood script. The effect was immediate. Clips of Owens' takedown went viral, spreading across TikTok, YouTube, and X. Memes popped up within hours, mocking Harry's claims, while comment sections filled with laughter and disbelief. What had once been whispered in gossip circles was suddenly mainstream fodder, and Meghan was at the center of it. For Meghan, this wasn't just criticism, it was humiliation. To see her most intimate story turned into a punchline by a commentator with a massive following wasn't just damaging, it was devastating. And once the mockery started, there was no stopping it.
Why lie? It was just so truly bizarre.
If there's one detail that lit the match, it was Harry's claim in spare that Meghan received not 1 but 2 epidurals during labor and still walked out of the hospital hours later. At first glance, it sounded dramatic, even cinematic. But to doctors, mothers, and anyone familiar with childbirth, it sounded absurd.
Why would you do that? That's not necessary.
Silence everybody and just produce a DNA sample or proof of delivery.
It's like she's playing a human being, like it's a performance.
Medical professionals quickly pointed out that epidurals are carefully monitored procedures. Doubling up isn't routine. In fact, it's rare and risky. The idea that Meghan could undergo 2 of them and then be discharged within hours didn't just raise eyebrows, it made the story look implausible. And that's exactly why it became the centerpiece of public ridicule. The 2 epidurals line was clipped, memed, and shared endlessly. Mothers joked that even 1 epidural kept them in hospital for days. Others posted sarcastic comments like, "Superwoman Meghan defying medical science since 2019. Royal watchers argue this moment, more than any other, cemented the sense that the Sussexes were embellishing for effect.
It bothers me first because it's a lie. She's not in the hospital trying to induce labor by twerking. The hospital will not give you a bed because you're trying to induce labor. You are not allowed to.
What was meant to sound like resilience now looked like fabrication. And as the laughter grew, the humiliation deepened. The epidural debate was only the beginning. Once people started picking apart the timeline, the cracks widened. According to Harry, Meghan was discharged from Portland Hospital just hours after giving birth, and then endured a long drive back to Frogmore Cottage in Windsor. For mothers who've been through childbirth, that detail was baffling. Standard recovery after labor, especially with an epidural, involves observation for at least 24 hours. Add the long car ride to Windsor, and the story felt less like medical reality and more like royal fiction. Then came the protocol questions. Royal births have always followed strict traditions. The monarch informed first, an official statement issued swiftly, and clear communication to the press. Meghan and Harry broke from all of it. Instead of a consistent explanation, 3 different narratives emerged: privacy concerns, health reasons, and logistical issues. The mixed messaging didn't protect them. It fueled suspicion.
Put up a camera, fixate it, and then both of you start twerking. Because in her mind, she was thinking, I'm gonna release this later in a Netflix doc, or release it later to show people how relatable I am. Otherwise, you can have a cute moment with your husband without recording it. Like, why would you record this for any reason? Why would you record this in the hospital?
Insiders say this break with tradition caused more damage than Meghan and Harry realized. For critics, it looked like deliberate evasion. For supporters, it was clumsy PR. Either way, the fallout was the same. Meghan's story didn't just clash with medical norms, it clashed with centuries of royal transparency. If the timeline and protocol raised doubts, the whispers from Portland Hospital poured fuel on the fire. Staff who worked during Meghan's stay recalled details that didn't quite match Harry's dramatic version in Spare. Harry painted the picture of cloak and dagger secrecy, hidden exits, special elevators, and almost spy movie levels of drama. But sources whisper there was no evidence of a secret elevator at all. Security was tight, yes, but nothing like the elaborate production Harry described.
Why have they simply not made an announcement to the fact that all of the speculation about the children's arrivals?
Even smaller details, like Harry's claim of Meghan indulging in comfort food after labor, were disputed. Staff quietly noted that the hospital's catering rules didn't allow for the kind of meal he described. These might seem trivial, but stacked together, they chipped away at the story's believability. And once Candace Owens amplified these cracks, the humiliation deepened. Critics laughed at how Meghan and Harry seemed to turn a straightforward hospital stay into a blockbuster script. The more people compared the hospital's quiet recollections to the memoir's version, the more the Sussex's credibility unraveled. If Candace Owens reopened the pregnancy debate, the public took it to a whole new level. In comment sections across YouTube, TikTok, and forums, one demand kept repeating: DNA tests. Viewers argued that if Meghan and Harry wanted to silence the whispers, the simplest way would be proof. Instead, the silence only fueled speculation. Some claimed the palace itself was complicit, protecting Meghan by refusing to release clear documentation.
You need proof that I'm authentic? I just dropped myself twerking. I have proven that I am authentic because I twerked with my husband in a room.
And then came the age factor. At 37, when Archie was born, Meghan was far from the oldest royal mother, but whispers about her medical history and even rumors of a hysterectomy spread like wildfire. Combined with the timeline doubts, these age-related suspicions turned skepticism into outright conspiracy. The humiliation for Meghan wasn't just in the questions themselves, but in the way they spread. Meme pages mocked her supposed moon bump. Commenters joked that the children looked nothing like her. Royal watchers argue that what started as Candace Owens' critique quickly escalated into a public referendum on Meghan's motherhood itself. For Meghan, who has built her public image around women's empowerment and maternal advocacy, there may be no harsher blow. As the humiliation spread, many expected Buckingham Palace to step in, issue a firm statement, and shut the speculation down. After all, royal births are usually matters of record, sealed with doctors' signatures and official announcements. But this time, there was only silence.
If you had those things, it would be very easy just to put them out there and say, this is what happened. This is what it is.
Insiders say the palace believed dignified silence would starve the rumors. But to the public, silence looked like complicity, as if the monarchy itself was hiding something. The lack of clarity gave critics free rein to fill in the blanks with their own theories, and Meghan's story became the perfect target. Some royal watchers argue the palace's silence was a strategic mistake. Instead of protecting Meghan, it left her exposed. Every day without a statement made her look more isolated, more mistrusted, and more humiliated. Others claim the monarchy preferred to let Meghan take the heat alone, distancing itself from a scandal it wanted no part of. Whatever the motive, the result was the same. Meghan and Harry stood alone in the storm, and in the eyes of many, that silence spoke louder than any denial ever could. This isn't the first time Meghan has faced rumors about her pregnancy, but royal insiders say this fallout feels different. Why? Because it's no longer confined to niche gossip forums. Thanks to Candace Owens' viral takedown, the story has crossed over into the mainstream. The humiliation now comes from every direction. Doctors publicly question Harry's epidural claims. Mothers laugh about how unrealistic the recovery timeline sounds. Commenters demand DNA tests. Meme accounts recycle moon bump jokes by the hour. What was once whispered is now shouted, and it's Meghan's reputation paying the price. The consequences go beyond gossip.
So all of the pictures, my point is, out there were inconsistent with the idea of a real pregnancy.
Meghan's advocacy for maternal health, a cornerstone of her brand, now risks being undermined by her own shaky narrative. If she can't present a credible account of her own experience, critics argue, how can she claim authority on the subject? Harry isn't spared either. His memoir was supposed to be his truth, but the contradictions have weakened its impact. For readers, if he embellished details about Archie's birth, what else might have been polished to fit a narrative? And this is why the fallout is worse than ever. Meghan and Harry's entire brand rests on authenticity, on telling their truth against the monarchy's silence. But now it's their own silence and their own contradictions that are tearing that brand apart. Meghan Markle's pregnancy story was once meant to inspire a tale of resilience, privacy, and control in the face of relentless scrutiny. Instead, it's become a source of public humiliation. Candace Owens didn't just critique it, she ripped it wide open, and the fallout has only gotten worse. And there's so much to unpack here still, from Harry's implausible epidural claims to hospital whispers that don't line up, to DNA demands echoing across comment sections. Every contradiction chips away at Meghan's credibility.
I am sorry, but, and genuinely, I don't even mean to attack her. There was something frustrating about her, and I think he hits the nail on the head.
What began as a private chapter has spiraled into a public trial, where laughter and suspicion now overshadow sympathy. The palace's silence hasn't saved her. If anything, it's made the humiliation deeper. Meghan now stands exposed, mocked by commentators, doubted by the public, and increasingly isolated from the institution she once represented. The question is no longer whether the pregnancy story adds up. It's whether Meghan and Harry can recover from the damage it's done. And if this chapter has unraveled so spectacularly, what happens when the next crack in their narrative is exposed? This is Hollywood Daily Reports. Subscribe now because the fallout isn't over, and the next revelation could be even more humiliating than this one.